Voters can head to the polls today for early voting and special elections. We'll look at what issues are on the ballot and how election workers have been getting ready. And Franklin County residents are ramping up efforts to stop a multi-million-dollar prison. We'll break down the details coming up.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News at noon.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with meteorologist Stephen Elmore. Stephen, I was at the United Way Classic this morning there in Fort Smith. A lot of people were asking me, what is Stephen saying about the rain today, because they did not want the Pro-Am to get rained out.
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, good news is I think this morning's round is probably good. It was dry. It was nice this morning, but now we're starting to see that rain move in for the rest of this afternoon and going into the evening. You take a look at radar, already seeing some of those scattered showers across the river valley so far there in Fort Smith. Probably seeing some sprinkles right now. More than likely, those rain chances going to be increasing over the next few hours. Now, some good news for us is that at least in the way of those thunderstorms, it doesn't look likely, and that severe weather doesn't look likely either, mainly just looking at some good old-fashioned heavy rainfall throughout the day today. The system's going to be very scattered. Not everybody's going to see that rainfall at the same time. Right now across northwest Arkansas, it's cloudy, but obviously those rain showers just off towards our southwest. So we'll see that evolve across northwest Arkansas as we progress throughout the afternoon, and definitely by the time we get to the evening hours. Here's a look at what we're tracking over the next couple of days. Again, the rain chances increasing by the time we get to this evening. More than likely, that drive home today is going to be a wet one, but those rain chances going to stick around over the next couple of days. Again, the way of severe weather looks to be low throughout the rest of the week, but pretty much our Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday could have rain chances as well. By the time we get to Mother's Day weekend, it looks pretty good right now. Those rain chances will clear out. Current temperatures out there, if you're avoiding that rainfall right now, upper 60s across northwest Arkansas, already cooler across parts of the river valley just due to the rainfall that we're having right now. So we've already hit those daytime highs for today, northwest Arkansas. The rest of the day now, by the time we get later on this afternoon, that's when we'll see those scattered showers, and continuing by the time we get later on into the evening as well across the river valley. Seeing those rain chances right now only going to increase through the evening hours. By the time we get late tonight, should be starting to wrap up just a bit. Again, more rain chances in the forecast the rest of the week. We'll talk about it coming up.
Thanks, Stephen. Well, President Trump is meeting with Canada's new prime minister this morning amid trade and political tensions. The president's tariffs and talk about making Canada the 51st state has strained relations with America's second largest trading partner and key ally. Natalie Brand has details from the White House.
Canada's new Prime Minister Mark Carney has not shied away from criticizing President Trump. He was elected in part for pledging to stand up to the administration.
I go there with the expectation of constructive, difficult, but constructive discussions.
As a top trade partner, tariffs are expected to be at the top of the agenda.
I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does.
But as recently as Monday, the president's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick signaled negotiations will be complicated.
They have their socialist regime, and it's basically feeding off of America. I mean, the president calls that out all the time. Why do we make cars in Canada? Why do we do our films in Canada? Come on.
Business leaders say not reaching an agreement is not an option since the North American economies are intertwined.
If the issue is of a trade deficit, which we can dispute whether there is or isn't one, but let's address what actually needs to be addressed and not morph all kinds of other issues to make this more complicated.
Goldie Hyder of the Business Council of Canada says he hopes today's meeting serves as a reset.
Business loves certainty and predictability, and unfortunately what's been created is uncertainty and unpredictability.
Under former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Canada announced retaliatory tariffs on tens of billions of dollars of U.S. goods. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Among the dozens of U.S. products being impacted by Canadian tariffs are orange juice, bourbon, beer, and wine, also peanut butter, clothing, and motorcycles. And jury selection is underway in the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs. During the trial, the entertainment mogul is expected to come face to face with his 4 accusers. Prospective jurors are being asked questions such as whether they've been the victim of a crime or if they have feelings concerning violence and sexual assault. Combs faces 5 charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. Last week, he rejected a plea deal. If convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. And developing now, police say at least 7 people are injured after a shooting in Oklahoma City. That's according to our CBS affiliate. there in OKC. Police say this started as a fight on Monday night. Right now, the conditions of the victims are unknown, and police have not released any suspect information. And an investigation is underway into what caused a boat believed to be carrying a group of migrants to capsize off the coast of California. Officials say the incident on Monday left 3 people dead, 4 injured, and at least 7 missing. The U.S. Coast Guard says it's unclear where the boat was coming from. They believe it flipped over about 30 miles north of the Mexican border on its way to San Diego. Well, this week brings a major new development in the Middle East. Israeli officials now telling the Associated Press a new plan has been approved to seize all the territory in Gaza and occupy it indefinitely. This comes as the Israeli military called up tens of thousands of reservist soldiers this past weekend. Critics call the plan a failed strategy, saying none of the 59 remaining hostages have been freed since Israel broke a ceasefire with Hamas 6 weeks ago. Right now, Israel controls about half of Gaza. And all eyes are on the world's cardinals as they prepare for this week's conclave and selection of a new pope. A group of students from St. John's University in New York are studying in Rome. They have a front row seat to the outcome.
It's like surreal to be in the city in this environment with everybody just like waiting for the next leader of the Catholic Church, and we're all like really excited to see like what comes about it.
On Monday, workers installed curtains on the balcony where the new pontiff will appear. A temporary chimney is in place on the roof of the Sistine Chapel, where cardinals will cast secret ballots. White smoke will eventually signal the election of the next leader for the world's Catholics. 133 cardinals with an average age of 70 are set to start voting tomorrow. They'll need a 2/3 majority to elect a new pope. And happening today, local voters will head to the polls for early voting and special elections. In Washington County, election officials are encouraging residents to make their voices heard. On the ballot in the county school board races and millage proposals in districts like Farmington, Greenland, and Prairie Grove. Some Springdale voters will weigh in on a board seat but won't see a millage change. Where you vote can depend on what school district and even what county you're in. The director of elections says check your sample ballot and polling site ahead of time by using the state's voter view tool. She also says workers have been preparing for the special elections for weeks.
Voting equipment has been tested and we know that it counts accurately. And then just all those final preparations that we do for whether the turnout is 90% or 5%, we're going to walk through the same exact process, making sure that we get everything ready for the voters.
You can cast your ballot for early voting at the Washington County Clerk's Office. Election Day is set for May 13th, and then 6 polling locations in the county will be open from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And one of the closely watched races next Tuesday will be in Fort Smith, where voters are casting ballots on a bond issue to reallocate sales tax money to fund consent decree work. We have a full breakdown of all the changes in that proposal. It's on our website. You can also find details on early voting sites and where polling places will be open on Election Day. Well, now to the latest at the state capitol. Lawmakers returned on Monday to formally adjourn the 95th General Assembly. The debate over building a new prison near Charleston also continued. And as Rebecca Brown explains, a group of Franklin County residents delivered a letter to the governor's office urging her to reconsider the plans.
10 years from now, we can say, I told you so, but it'll be too late then. We're trying to stop it on the front end.
Concerned voices from Franklin County are growing louder. This week, they are making another push to stop a planned multi-million-dollar prison from being built in their community.
Most of our citizens are usually for jail expansion or prison expansion. That's never been the issue for a lot of us. A lot of us, the issue is the site.
Shannon McChristian is one of many Franklin County residents opposed to the idea. She and others joined State Senator Brian King at the Capitol on Monday.
So I'm going to be asking the governor, and I've already asked the Board of Corrections to divert the $75 million back to the Calico Rock expansion for 525 beds.
The lawmaker continues to argue there's a better way to lock up those who break the law and hopes the governor will reconsider this approach.
It's going to be much more economically better for the taxpayers, be able to address the overcrowding. The second part in the letter is what I've said all along. I mean, we have 8 counties that make up contribute 2 out of 3 inmates to incarceration.
But President Pro Tem Bart Hester disagrees.
Senator King provides lots of options that aren't taken seriously in this legislature.
Senator Hester says the $75 million already allocated for the Franklin County Prison is already in motion.
Ample money to do the architecture, engineering, hopefully some dirt work plans, and really give the legislature a firm number on what this prison looks like. I think with that firm number, we'll have the appropriation to continue on.
Both sides remain firm in their positions on whether a prison should be built in Franklin County.
Well, here's what we know. We have to build a prison. We bought a huge property, and if we got to move it to one side or the other or back or forward or central, we're going to do that.
With this site location, doesn't serve the taxpayers, it doesn't serve anybody in Arkansas, and we need to move the needle back to something more economically.
Rebecca Brown, 5 News.
Tonight, the Fayetteville City Council is set to discuss changes to the city's parking ordinances. The city's already eliminated non-residential requirements, allowing businesses to determine their own parking needs based on demand. Tonight, the council will consider a new proposal aimed to reduce residential parking requirements. Council member Sarah Moore says she plans to raise concerns about the plan and the impact it would have on the city's long-term goals.
We look at, in particular, the downtown master plan, knowing that making sure that we're putting housing where we already have infrastructure, where we're making investments, where we have transit in place, where we're close to employers. Ward 2 has the most small businesses in the city. And so we know we want to situate more housing so that people, can not rely on, the fact that they'd have to have an automobile.
We will bring you any developments to come out of tonight's meeting.